Everybody, happy, what is today? Wednesday. On our way out here to a listing appointment in Maryville. I do apologize, I've not done a video here. It feels like a couple weeks. I'm not sure actually what my last video was. But got to get back into it. We have just, we've been busy. And by busy, I mean busiest ever by a long shot. Busier than 2020, busier than 2021, busier than 2022. And I don't know what the heck the market's doing, which is what this video is about. I'm almost looking for somebody to tell me what the market's doing, because the market is all over the board. Things are selling that we don't think that are going to sell for more than what we think they're going to sell. Things we think are going to sell are not selling. I wrote down, oh crap, we're running into traffic up here. I wrote down a few just like one-off scenarios. I don't know, even one-off, but at least for us, some things that just like seems odd and crazy, and because if any agent right now is going to tell you, oh, I know what the market's doing, I know how to do it, that's just a lie, because it's all over the board. It changes in every zip code. It changes in every price point. It changes based on what the loan type the home can qualify for. I mean, it is all over the board, and what you would think would make sense based on what we know sometimes doesn't, and what seems to be like, well, that don't make no sense at all of a sudden works out and sense happens, I guess you could say. So it's wild. And a few things what I wanted to share with you in doing that, and what it's been like the last couple months. You know, I had one house we had listed for 3 weeks. It had 36 showings on it in 3 weeks, which is a ton of showings. It's like, what is that? Almost 2 showings a day. And it did not get one offer on it until the 36th showing. Crazy. I mean, how does a home get 36 showings and not one offer? Or 35 showings and not one offer? The 36th one just didn't make sense. Priced right, great area, great location, great home, updated. You know, and all the feedback was really on things we couldn't control in the home. You know, some people was like, backyard's too small, or bedrooms are too small, just didn't like the layout. Well, nothing we can do about that. But really, it was crazy to think that many buyers. Also, got listings that we've listed for a couple weeks, not one showing. I had one listing that I say that for, and it was like 2 weeks, 3 weeks on the market, not one showing. All of a sudden, here comes one showing. Here comes the offer. We got an accepted contract for way more than what I thought. I told the seller we were way overpriced, but obviously I worked for them, so I went ahead and done it. So I always do. But seller knew where, I kind of thought it was going to be from a comp value, and we knew going into it, it would have been a miracle to make it happen. Well, sure as shit it happened, and it appraised, and we closed. So it's like, what the heck? Like, if you see the extreme scenario, home arguably underpriced, tons of showings, no offers, home way overpriced, no showings, all of a sudden you get one showing, one offer, and close the deal. Incredible. We also listed one in West Knoxville, off of Cedar Bluff. And it had over 40 showings in 2 days. We ended up having over 5 written offers on it. I mean, good home, great home. Nothing special that we didn't see this coming, didn't predict it. The agent who was working with the seller on our team has other listings that are crickets. Didn't expect. It's wild. It's wild of arguably, supposedly being an expert at something, and we don't even really know what's going on. A lot of agents now, the law changes in August. I've talked about it a ton. Buyer's agents are asking for 3%. Sellers are now paying more in commission than what they were paying pre-August. You can thank the Department of Justice and thank that law firm for that, sellers, because that's the market now. And that's just what it is now. They're still countering and negotiation and everything, and all that. And I actually, for the first time, ran into a situation where a seller refused to pay my commission for my buyer. Obviously, me and my buyer talked about the situation because it was a counterback. good situation. They, although hated it, really liked the home, understood how the pay would work. It's going to cost them, X amount of $1,000 more. So knew that going into it. Well, get under contract. Obviously, they're super pissed because we just sold their home. They just, paid a buyer's agent and everybody was happy. Well, get inspection back. Inspection's really bad, so my buyer hammers them, as they should. Fall through. That same buyer, poor buyer, next home, like a week later or so, the agent was willing to pay 75% of my commission. And so it left my buyer with paying 25% of it. She was fine with it. Again, good home, really liked it. Inspection comes back terrible, hammers them again. And honestly, we were given extremely, and I say hammer, we were actually given extremely reasonable terms. The seller was just being unreasonable. The home's already fallen through again after another contract. So just so you know, sellers, like if you're not going to offer that buyer's agent fee, which is fine, it's your right to do that. Those buyers are going to hammer you on inspections because they know odds are 99% of the time the next seller is going to pay them. So that's money that they get to keep in their pocket. You got to remember that. Another scenario here, we also, in the last month or so, sold the biggest listing I've ever had. One of our agents who's a project manager, working with general contractor. They build really high-end homes. Sold a home for basically $2.5 million. Most that I have ever been a part of in a sale, in a transaction, and it was bought by cash. Yep, sure as stuff. I'm trying to refrain using some language, but sure as shit, under contract for a loan. Buyer got looking at it, was like, you know what, I'm not going to pay, I forgot what the financing was. I think it was like 50% down, but I still had them paying like $7,000 a month. He's like, screw that, let me just pay that bad boy cash. That was the biggest deal in my career, was cash. There is a ton of money out there, people. I say that too. Our team, crazy stuff what's going on with our team. We're now at 16 total people, which is incredible. Amazing. I feel like the agents and our operation team, like bar none, have the best of the best. Our processes, our systems, what we do, it doesn't get any better than what we do, how we do it, and obviously with that customer service focus. We've been on this awesome journey as a team for a couple years, arguably since 2021. Started out with just me, and then hired an admin, and then another agent, and just kept expanding as the demand has just called for it. I've never once just recruited or tried to expand to hire new agents. Never been my MO. I've only ever hired agents or reached out to potentially look for hiring agents when we had more leads than what we can run. And as of right now, we have the most pending contracts we've ever had. We have right now today, I think we actually got 55 today. So as of yesterday, last night, we was looking at our numbers, and we have 54 pending contracts. We got another one today. So that's 55 pending contracts. These are under contract people, let alone all the people that all the agents on our team are currently working with. I had a friend share me a screenshot that another...
In 2 miles, take
media, and it was talking about the Knoxville MLS, right? Which there's about 6,000 agents here in our local greater Knoxville area, and we were number 2 on the list. I had no clue. I don't have access to that data. You got to be a broker to get access. Like I could, I could make calls, I'm sure, track it down. I don't think I need to go here, right? I think it's next one, yeah. But I mean, how crazy is that, right? The little old us is the way I kind of view it. I mean, we don't do anything special. We just actually generally help people. And that's been the business model from day one, because that's how I would want to be treated, and it's just taken off. And our agents on our team, that's their mindset. If you help enough people, the money will come, and it's truly, that is the case, and we really enjoy helping people do this, because there's so many people out there they're not worried about helping you, they're worried about getting that money. And I think people realize that and they see that. And so our team, like, right now, I mean, we're pacing like somewhere around 250 contracts this year, which is just insane. That would put us, I don't know.
In half a mile, take exit 11A for US
probably 10 in the state of
South
Tennessee.
toward
Nashville's probably its own little beast, but definitely as far as transaction goes, put us in the top tier. Of those 54 deals that we currently have pending, 13 of those things are cash. That goes
take exit 11A.
That goes to show you there that there's a ton of cash out there. I got it coming up on traffic again. About 20
continue on US 129
are
South
cash,
for 3
which is
miles.
pretty wild when you think of that. And they're all different price range. Some of them are small land deals, but some of these are $800,000 home purchases being bought for cash. I want to talk about rates. This last week we were looking at rates and it was like, oh man, yeah, rates are like mid sixes. Fantastic. We all love this. Let's keep going down. We were talking about it, and all of a sudden, yesterday I pulled it up. Rates shot up 1/4 point. Went up to like 6.7 or 6.8 or something. And then I looked today, I looked right before this video, and shit, rates are it's back to 7. Almost in 48 hours, rates have essentially jumped up 1/2 point. Crazy, which is not good for anybody. That's not good for buyers. That's not good for sellers. 1/2 point jump, certain price ranges, and I'm spitballing here, but $300,000 buyer, well, if the rate jumps up 1/2 point, now they may be only approved for $285. And I don't know if that's exactly right, but there's going to be some logic to that they're going to be approved for less for the same payment. So, where are rates going? I think right now with the economy and tariffs and who knows the stock market and everything, what's going on, I think you're going to see mortgage rates probably bounce pretty drastically up and down, which usually they don't bounce super far down. They kind of trickle down and then they bounce up, kind of from my experience of looking at it. Some other data I got here, I got a bunch of data for you guys that they released that I wanted to share with you that it just kind of shows like it doesn't make sense right now. And when people say, Stephen, it's my home, it's now a great time to buy. Stephen, is now a great time to sell if I want to list my home. It's like there's no way to like properly say, oh yes, exactly. Now, right now we're getting into peak season, which is a trackable number for all of real estate. So here was some stats that we got all the way from kind of February and March. Sales decreased in February 4.7% from what they did in January, which is kind of rare when you think that a lot of January closings is from December, which is arguably very slow because of the holidays. But we had almost a 5% decrease. Now this one's it's not crazy, but it's something you got to keep your eye on. Inventory from February 24 to February 25, meaning a whole year, went up 35%. So inventory is up 35%. Now, what I did see was inventory actually start going down in November, and kind of like got down to all of a sudden like 5,300 homes. And then now, if you look, we're basically back up to 6,000. And this has happened in literally like 3 or 4 weeks. In less than a month, our inventory has jumped up 10%, which is kind of expected with sellers entering the market, right? Because now you list your home today. By the time you actually close, maybe a little bit longer closing date, school's out, you don't got to move your kid there. So sellers, motivated sellers are entering the market right now, and I can tell you it's a great sign. It's a great sign for buyers because we work with a lot more buyers than we do sellers. So inventory is great, but at the same time, a lot of times these sellers are also buyers, so it kind of will wash out when they close. So inventory necessarily shouldn't, even though it's rising, that seller still should be a buyer when everything closes. To bring that down, so it's arguably like taking 2 homes back off at the same time. Median sales price went up just 1.8% from February of 24 to February of 25. So basically, market stayed super flat. So if you bought a home, there didn't really increase there much, just 2%. there. Half the homes closed in February were pending in basically 42 days or less. In February of 24, it was 28 days. So you see where time on market is drastically increasing. It's almost doubled in that year, going from 28 to 41.
In a quarter mile,
slight on market before you even get a contract. I don't know where I'm going, and my GPS is trying to talk to me. Let me turn it up there a little bit, see if I can't hear it better. So that's a number you got to keep your eye on, right? Because if that still keeps going up, that'll get concerning. You start getting 50, 60 days off.
Slight right, then slight right onto Tennessee 335 South.
All right, slight right. Now I say all of that, right? Inventory's going up, market's slow.
Slight right onto Tennessee 335 South,
but all of a sudden,
Road.
Here comes this curveball. Mortgage applications are up 31%.
Continue on Tennessee 335 South for
in March of this year versus March of last year. Well, what the heck? Last year was record lows, and according to national data, I think it said straight, or say right. Let's go straight. Gamble it. 2024 is basically record lows in like 30 years of real estate transactions, and they say that 2025 is pacing, is outpacing 2024 as far as record low transactions. But mortgage applications are up 30%, which is a great sign. Great sign for sellers. I mentioned the inventory is up. Homes under, this is, to me, it's always like the key point, is like affordable homes, which I consider that under 300,000. We have about 6,000 homes now actively for sale. Only 1,300 of those homes are under 300,000. So again, less than 20% of those homes are under, I think it's about less than 20%, close enough, are under 300,000, which is where probably, 60% of buyers are. So you see where it's kind of, again, the market's messed up there for most buyers are, yet hardly no inventory. Now, it's 22% of the inventory. I actually did the math on that because it's a couple days old. Half of those homes, so only about 600 of those homes can go FHA, which is going to be majority of your buyers under 300,000 are going to be government loan buyers. So only about half of those homes, so 10% of those homes, 10% of the entire inventory can go FHA under 300,000. So some very crazy data, shocking data. I know it's all over the board. A bunch of rabbit holes. We're back. I don't think my phone was starting to basically overheat. But yeah, so I want to end it with this. Markets all over the board. That's the truth. If somebody's going to tell you different, they're just, they don't do enough business to really see all the different areas, all the different price points. All they know is most agents are very niche driven. So certain price points, certain areas, certain zip codes, we work all over, and the market's crazy when you compare it all over versus just niches. But as always, guys, if you ever have questions, always here, but always trying to bring you
continue on Louisville.
Honest advice when it comes to this stuff. And I don't know where our market's going. It wouldn't shock me if the market gets crazy in the next 3-6 months. It wouldn't shock me if the market just stays continuing to slow and cool off in the next 3 to 6 months. Nothing would shock me. But we'll find out in 3 to 6 months.